Hello. Okay, let's get set up. As I sit down for this podcast every week, I basically have to make sure that my event is covered behind me. I have to figure out what the hell I'm talking about, and then I record it in voice notes. So let's do it. Okay, so I have up healthy habits, routine, responsibility, commitment. These are things that I feel very overwhelmed with right now in my own human experience. So probably something that you guys might be feeling as well, and therefore that's something that I'm probably going to want to speak about on this podcast. What with it being about our human experiences. Okay. Hello guys, welcome back to T.H.E, the Human Experience Podcast here on YouTube, Spotify, and I promise to get it everywhere else. I'm looking into it. I'm not exactly techie. I'm trying to launch a course right now, do my normal 9-to-5 job. Life's busy, you know the vibes. So we'll get it out there on everything, but for right now, you can check us out on Spotify and YouTube, and of course on Instagram as well. If you're already part of the community, hello. If you're not, also hello. Welcome back, guys. This week we're gonna kind of branch off of last week's episode because we are coming in the new year, and with T.H.E, the Human Experience Podcast, we try to go over things that I personally am feeling that I'm finding from other people within the community that people are talking about, and just shit that's like all over social media right now, honestly. And that is New Year's resolutions and all that sort of stuff. So last week we talked about manifestation, and I kind of cracked that open for myself and for you guys, because a lot of the time I'm talking about this, I'm also kind of investigating it spiritually for myself, if that makes sense. So I investigated that spiritually for myself, and I got a lot of good feedback from you guys. So I'm excited to get into this topic because this is one that people might get their back up about. I know when it comes to healthy habits, routines, all that sort of stuff, these are thought of as really positive things, and I don't want to dampen that. I don't want to put, a cap on that and be like, no, fuck your routine, don't have a routine. I want you guys to suffer in boredom for the rest of your life. No, obviously not. But I do, per usual, have a bit of an issue with the idea of habits and routines, even healthy ones. I'm just going to come right out and say it. I feel that habits and routines can be unconscious. Okay? What do I mean by that? They can be asleep. They can assist us in staying asleep, and therefore I'm going to classify them as being a potential addiction. Okay? An addiction. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I think about addiction, I think about, sex, drugs, rock and roll, like the, really negative things. And I put that in quotations if you're watching this on YouTube, because it's not necessarily negative, good, bad, ugly. I mean, good, bad, and ugly, that's a human illusion, right? When we really come back to it, let's step right back for a second. When we think about it, negative and positive, those are things that we've made up in our human life. Those are temporary, and they are going to exist only within our human life, right? They're only going to exist within our human existence, and therefore we've made them up. It's an illusion, and we can choose, because humanity is choice, we can choose whether or not to believe them in this life, or which ones we believe, which ones we value, which ones we don't. So it's all choice, right? Let's take it one step further though. Addiction is thought of as only a negative thing. In a lot of yogic practices, when we come into yoga, when we come into spirituality at all, we start to venture into the space of addiction being something that everyone has. Addiction is a huge piece of humanity, of the human illusion, of the human experience. That is what we are talking about when we're talking about humanity, and we're talking about addiction. They're the same thing. You can't really go through life without having an addiction, if that makes sense. That's a pretty generalized statement. Maybe I'm being a bit too general there. But I feel that we all have addictions, and addictions are actually something that we should look more into. And not just for getting over them. And again, putting that in quotations, because you don't really, getting over it isn't the point that I'm trying to make here. It's the addiction itself and what we classify as addiction, because I would classify routines and habits as an addiction. Can be. When is it not? Let's talk about it. Routines and habits are not addictions when the action that we are doing is something we are choosing to do every single day. And when you are in a routine, it's not that you aren't necessarily choosing to do that thing every single day, but you're doing it because it is your routine and your habit, rather than because it is your choice. The whole point of routine and habit, a lot that I've seen anyways, is to kind of skip over human choice, because we don't trust ourselves to do the things that we think we should be doing, the quote unquote good things. We don't trust ourselves to do those things, to choose to do those things every single day. We feel that we are going to choose to do the not good things, or to just not do anything at all, and therefore we get into something called routine and habit, healthy habits, good routines for your better life sort of bullshit. And that is all, the basis of that is that we don't trust ourselves to make the quote unquote right decisions. Now, loads of problems here. Let's venture into the direction of what's right and wrong, like we were just talking about. Human illusion is good and bad. Good and bad doesn't actually exist. Karma and doesn't exist because that's part of good and bad, like what to do, good and bad, heaven and hell. All these things are human illusions that we've made up to try to almost like encourage our human selves to venture down a specific path, but eventually we have to give up the human illusion that there is even good and bad. So let's start there. So there's no such thing as a healthy routine or an unhealthy routine. Routine and habit is to take away choice so that you don't have trust. Now, I'm not saying that that's what you're going into it as. A lot of people go into a routine not intending to take away their own choice. That's not their point, right? And so I'm not saying that if you are, having a routine right now, if your goal is to build a routine or a better habit for yourself, I'm not saying that you're trying to build an addiction for yourself. I'm not saying that you're a bad person or anything, or that you even agree with this. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, let's focus on trusting ourselves more to choose the things that we would like ourselves to be doing, or trust ourselves that if we really are not choosing to do those things, that's a bigger issue, and that's actually a portal, if you want to call it that, for lack of a better word, to our spiritual enlightenment. Okay? So let's say you get into a routine. Okay, let's dial it back here for a second before I get right into it. Let's say you get into a routine, right? Let's say we get into a routine. Okay, for instance, I'm doing the 5-minute journal, which I'm going to do a review on, because I've been really interested in trying this out, and I have a lot of cool opinions on it that literally no one asked for. So I'm doing the journal, and it talks all about routine and habits and building that for yourself, right? And I think that it's put out there as a really positive thing, right? Journaling is a great thing to do every single day. It is a great thing to do because, a lot of the questions are asking me and making me go inwards and really consider how I'm feeling, check in with myself. These are all really beautiful things to do. My problem there is that if I'm doing that, not because it's my choice, but because I'm in a routine and the routine is the point, and the routine is what I'm doing, and the routine is why I'm doing it, and it's almost on autopilot, then it's not a conscious action. It's not a conscious choice, right? So then I'm just kind of doing it to do it. And that can be really good, but I trust humans a little bit more than that. That's my issue with that, is that I want you to trust you more than that. Rather than building up a habit because you don't trust yourself to choose the thing that you want to do, let's venture the other direction, which is, okay, let's say you did trust yourself fully and you listened to yourself fully. Well, the first thing that's going to come up, which is what we try to avoid, is all the human learned bullshit. It's all the anxieties, the fears, the depressions, the sadness, the fun-loving. Like, you're just going to go towards whatever's easiest, right? You're going to go towards whatever your addiction already is, and that's my issue. Instead of blasting through that addiction, which we have the opportunity to do when we're looking to take on a new routine, instead of leveling up your addiction by making it a healthy habit or a healthy routine, instead of making that your go-to, look at what your go-to is now. Look at what your addictions already are. Look at what your unconscious human life already looks like. And I always say guys, I'm talking about me. I'm talking about my human experience too. So don't ever take this like I'm talking at you. I'm talking at me. And if you happen to be going through this as well, welcome to the club. When we take on a new habit, a new routine, that's a prettier word for addiction. So let's say I'm doing this journal every single morning, and I'm going to the gym every single morning. Okay, those are routines and habits that I've taken on. Okay, and I'm doing that in place of sleeping in. I'm doing that in place of just staying up late. Whatever. Staying up late. What am I doing while I stay up late? I'm scrolling on social media. I'm talking to people. I'm keeping myself busy. I'm watching TV. So that's my addiction. That's my go-to. That's what keeps me on autopilot, unconscious action. Okay? And instead of waking up in the morning, I'm going to go to my one routine. So instead of building into this new routine, let's say I just stick in the routine that I have now and I look at it. I look at why I'm doing it. I look at what my addictions already are. Instead of adding more fucking addictions, more routines, more unconscious shit, pause for a second. Let's blast through what your human has already learned to grasp at, right? What a routine is, what a healthy habit is, it's hoping that we can teach ourselves to grasp at good things, quote unquote, good things when we feel like shit, right? It like the grasp for the gym or grasp for an orange rather than chocolate or a Netflix show, right? That's what we want to do. Grasp for weed instead of cigarettes. Grasp for sparkling water instead of a drink. Whatever it is, I don't really care. I'm no judgment here, guys. I've had every addiction under the sun. No judgment here on what your addiction is, and I don't personally believe in good and bad addictions. I believe all addictions are a part of humanity and they are a portal to our soul. Because when we grasp outside of ourselves, which is not the part that we're actually dealing with, and that's the part that I think is the most important to deal with, and that's my problem with all of this. That's my whole point. You want the whole point? That's it. It's the grasping. We're teaching ourselves to grasp at something that is humanly known as better, and that doesn't actually matter. That's not actually what matters. What matters is that we're grasping in the first place. Why are you grasping? You're grasping because your human has learned that reaching outside of yourself for peace, happiness, bliss, emotion, feeling, whatever, is the only way to do it. Because the human that taught you learned from another human, and so on and so forth, right? It's what we have been taught to do. It's what we have taught ourselves or been taught that'll bring us peace. And that's where we get into the cycle of humanity, the cycle of bullshit, of human learned bullshit. It's on and on and on and on and on. And by piling on new routines, new habits, we are just accepting new ones. We're continuing to pile them on, right? Our human knows them as better or good things, but they're still grasping. We're still looking outside of ourselves. So first and foremost, we have to look at the addiction. Stop where you are. Just stop what you're doing. Step one, just stop everything for a second. And let's just look at the mess that we're already in. Rather than redoing, just putting drywall up and just putting some wallpaper up, painting the walls. We have to take down the old drywall that's completely rotted. We got to take all that down. We got to take the house down to the studs and rebuild. We got to look at the foundation. The foundation that I won't fucking shut up about is the relationship with self, your soul, your truth. Because you have this inner thing, okay? This God self, this is awakening, right? In a nutshell, in human words, awakening, what I've found it to be, how I understand it to be is internally we have a source of truth, a source of peace, a source of something that does not die, that doesn't go anywhere. Okay? This in you is where I want you to connect to. Rather than building a healthy habit or a routine, let's cut the shit for a second. Let's go inwards. Let's look at the addictions you already have and start to clear them out. Because as we clear them out, we're going to get closer to an empty room. And when we have an empty room, well, that's when the work starts. That's where the awakening happens. When your room is empty, when your house is down to the studs and you're just looking at the foundation, well then, I get chills. Then you can start to rebuild. Then you can put up whatever wallpaper you want. Then you can take on whatever habits or routines that you want. You can do whatever actions in this human world that you want. Good, bad, ugly, I really couldn't give less of a fuck, honestly. You take up a cocaine addiction, I don't care. I say that lightly, but I'm being honest. Like I don't care what you do because human life is temporary. I don't care if your grasping happens towards drugs, sex, people, or carrots. You know what I mean? It's all the same. You're grasping outside of yourself. So those of you who think you have healthy habits, congratulations. You have humanly learned better addictions than somebody with humanly learned negative addictions. And the only way we base negative and positive is how good it is for your lifespan. How long it'll keep you alive. Well, death is an illusion. Now what? What's good and bad now? What's good and bad now? When death becomes an illusion, and when you understand that, well, then what's good and bad now? What do we base it off of? We don't. You get to choose. It's all human choice. It comes back to human choice. So cut the shit on the addictions. Understand that you're grasping outside of yourself for something, and instead of building a routine, look at what you're already doing. Focus on what you're already doing. Then, once you clear through all that, once you can see the floor and you can see self and you can see the foundation, then you can start to rebuild. Then you can take on whatever human actions you want because they're not addictions anymore. The whole idea of addiction and spirituality is not a negative or a positive thing. It's more so focusing on just the grasping. It's anything outside of yourself. It's grasping. So that same action that was once considered an addiction spiritually could after awakening, after you build that relationship with self, when you come from a deeper place, a deeper source of peace, a deeper source of detachment, when you're not attached to the action or the thing, then you can do the thing or enjoy the thing without the addiction. Addiction, attachment, maybe that can be considered the same sort of thing, right? We're kind of exploring this at the same time. So instead of building these routines this year, building these healthy habits, right? Doing something because you have a responsibility to do it or a commitment to do it. Instead of doing that, wake up and choose. Use your human choice to do it. And I say that because human choice can be really helpful here. It's going to lead you to these addictions because maybe you have no idea. I know for myself anyways, for a long time, I had no idea what I was addicted to. Every day, new addictions come up. I have no idea what my human's going to grasp for today. It's going to grasp for something new every day at this point. I've cut through so many different addictions. I've brought so many to light that I find new ones all the time. But I can notice them now. But being able to trust yourself not to do the quote unquote right thing, but questioning yourself in saying, wait a second, why don't I want to do this thing? I don't want to do this good thing. I don't want to go to the gym. What do I want to do instead? This. Okay, fantastic. That's my addiction. That's what I'm grasping at. That's what I would like to do when I'm uncomfortable or when I'm bored or when it's quiet or when blah, 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 blah. I want to be with people. I want to watch TV. I want to have a drink. I want to go out and party. I want to whatever the fuck it is. I want to do that thing right now. Just ask yourself. And instead of not trusting yourself because you don't trust yourself to not do the right thing, the thing that you think is right, trust yourself that yourself will show you where you need to be looking. That's what you need to trust. And the more you trust that, the more it leads you home, per se. You're going to be building that trust inwards. That's the whole point of this whole fucking thing. That's the whole point of this whole thing that I'm building. God complex as a whole is that you're going towards you. I'm so over hearing people teach people to venture further and further outside of themselves when they have answers within. Every time you read a book that teaches you a new fucking habit, you're venturing further outside of yourself, even if it's a good thing, even if it's a positive thing. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's going to change your goddamn life. Congratulations, amazing. But it's going to be temporary and it's going to lead you away from yourself. And you have a source of peace and truth within yourself that I would like you to see. So don't follow me. Don't take my goddamn word for it. Don't trust me. Trust you. Trust you. Trust that you're not going to do the thing that you wish you would do. Trust that you're not going to do the thing that the book blackmails you into doing. And we'll go over that at some point. The 5-minute journal literally blackmailing me into, making myself blackmail myself into writing in the journal every day. I don't have to. I want to do this every day. You know why? Because I've sat through so many withdrawals from addictions that I have awakened to this source of peace within myself. Do I sit in it every hour of the day? No, I flash in and out of it constantly. My human constantly grasps at shit because it thinks that that's going to bring it peace, that this is going to bring it peace, that if this person does this for me, or if this happens in life, or if I just journal, or if I just da-da-da-da-da, that's going to bring me peace. If I just have, right now it's the whole vision board thing. Jesus Christ, every time my human sees. Actually, my last episode was really helpful. I hope it was helpful for you guys as well, because it was helpful for me to talk through the shit of manifestation, because I'm seeing it everywhere and it's such an awesome idea, and my human loves the interest in being able to control my future. That's such a beautiful idea. That's how my human takes it anyways. That's such a beautiful, beautiful thing that I think that I can do. That's completely an illusion, and talking through that was helpful. And so that's kind of what we're doing here. Trusting yourself to see through your own shit, to understand what your addictions are, because I absolutely trust that you're not going to do the thing that the book taught you to do. What you are going to do is exactly what you are going to do. You're going to do your addiction. You're going to do what you were taught to grasp for. And that's nobody's fucking fault. Who cares? That doesn't matter. The last thing you need to be doing is blaming. There's no time for that. You've got a house full of wood rot. Like, you got shit to do. Don't worry about anybody else. And so start to clear through the addictions. And then once you do that and you have an empty room, well, then you can start to build on that. Once you sit in that for a second, sit in that emptiness, an empty room with self, meet yourself, talk to yourself, have coffee with self, build a relationship with self. Then you can go ahead and start to do the things, whatever the books told you to do. Journal every day. The journal asked me, what's gonna ensure that you do this every day? I said, what do you mean? I'm gonna just choose to do it every day. I trust myself. And when I don't, when I'm grasping for something else, do you know what that is? That's a beautiful, beautiful portal right back to self. Every time I grasp for something instead of the journal, instead of doing it unconsciously, I know, hey, whoa, why am I grasping? Am I uncomfortable right now? What's up? And I check in with myself. When I'm grasping for binge eating, let's say I used to have a binge eating addiction. Let's say I was grasping for food. My human still, there's a bowl of chocolate downstairs. It's just past Christmas. I still see that bowl of chocolate and think, oh my God. And then immediately, instead of just doing the thing, doing the action, I've retaught my human to check in those moments, to wake up. What's going on? Why are you grasping for chocolate? What's that going to bring you? Are you not at peace yourself? What do you mean? Have you felt the peace that you can actually feel? Well, it's definitely not going to come from chocolate. And then after that, I can choose whether to fucking have the chocolate or not. Once the addiction, once the attachment isn't there, have the thing. Do the thing. Who gives a shit? Life has a lot of beautiful, fun things that you can do. Good, bad, ugly, who cares? Have a good time. You only have so long on this earth. But do it from a detached place. I don't know. That's really all I had to say today. I know going into this year, you're going to want to build some routines. You're going to want to build some habits, but you gotta take a step back first. You have to take a step back first and clear the room. Look at your addiction. Trust yourself. All that good stuff before you go ahead and trust me or fucking Tony Robbins or whoever the fuck's telling you whatever the fuck. Just pause for a second. Yeah, that is what I go through in my course. So if you want to do it, it's free on the Heal with GC Instagram. So yeah, definitely recommend doing that. And then, yeah, I will see you guys next week. Follow us on Instagram and become a part of the community. I wanted to say as well, I do like to, I've decided to follow everybody back. That's not something accounts do very often. I don't know if I'm going to get totally weird about it, but it's just because it's a community. I want the energy exchange to go both ways. I think it's important for it to be reciprocated and understand that it's not just you guys following me. That's weird as fuck. We're a community. GC follows you. GC supports you. That's the whole point. So welcome to the community. I love you guys so much.